You are listening to the Fab Female Nutrition Podcast, episode 175. Hey there, I'm your host, Wendy Hill, and I'm a nutritional therapist and expert in female hormone health. I specialise in helping women gain confidence and understanding their bodies, allowing them to shine. This podcast allows me to share the knowledge I've built up, along with bringing you guest experts to support you in your journey. So, hi, Laurie. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast today. Could you to start with, just give our listeners a little bit of background as to how you got to sort of where you are today and what we're going to be talking about?
Yes, so actually I help women now to manifest weight loss and live a life with purpose and passion. So I am a holistic health coach now. And I started out as a registered nurse, but around 4 years ago, I've quit my job and started my own business because we could talk more about this later, but I did not really agree with all of the guidelines and everything that I had to follow there. So yeah, but actually my first experience with weight loss was when I saw my mother struggling. She had a low carb diet that she followed, and I noticed her mood swings and everything. So I was 6 or 7 years old. And that was really the time where I decided I will never go on a diet. And so that was my first really experience with diets. That was kind of shocking to me.
And I think this is, it's interesting that you can remember that from childhood, and almost it's not until, I think it's a little bit like sort of my journey into sort of nutritional therapy, and like you said, you're doing health coaching. It's that we then start to put the pieces together, don't we? Once we're on this journey and we kind of get where we are, we go, oh, actually, I remember that, and how much of an influence and an impact that has on you. And it's not until you get to, this part of your journey. So how old do you think your mom was? Do you think she was kind of menopausal age when she was trying to?
A little bit before, I guess, she was, let me calculate, around 40, I would say she was at that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is she lost the weight, but afterwards she also gained it back. And I could see that. And the mood swings. And I was like, no, this is not the way to do it. This is kind of useless and worse even. You're doing something bad to yourself. You're harming yourself. So I always work with, first of all, with finding out the reason, and then also working on the limiting beliefs, because we all have this most people have this negative self-talk, and to really also find out, where does this talk come from? Where does all of this negative thinking, where does that come from? And I get them to write all of the sentences down and then pinpoint them to the source. Because we are not born with this negative talk. Usually we hear it from our mother, our father, our sister, some colleague at work, our teacher, our friends, or so on. So it's really important to really see it visually. Where does that come from? All of this noise in our head. And then I also work a lot with self-love, because we cannot manifest a body that we're going to love out of hate. So yes. I never say that everybody should lose weight or something. No. You should lose weight if you love yourself and you feel that you are not your true authentic self. And that's basically the third step, to be your true authentic self. So you can be your true self and have a few extra kilos. That's completely fine. And you should not want to lose weight if you feel good in your skin and you feel that this is the real you. But I work with women that feel that's not the real them. They feel this weight is blocking me, it's just not me. There is another woman inside of me that wants to come out, that wants to break free. So that's who I work with. And they should always want to do this change out of love, because they love themselves, they love their body, and not because they hate it. Because you will not be successful if you manifest anything out of hate. That's not working. And then I also work, of course, a little bit with nutrition. And the way I see food is the way maybe not most people are seeing it that way, but I see food basically as energetics, in the everything has frequency, has energy, and you want to eat food that is really vibrant, that is on a higher frequency. And that's where you can have if you take I was living in Finland, if I take my own blueberries from the forest, they are vibrating, they are radiating on such a higher frequency, and they're going to be so much more fulfilling and nutritious than, let's say, maybe frozen blueberries. So even frozen processed meat. I think that's really the lowest frequency you can go. And I think if you want to eat meat, like you can do it. But the way I also see this, it's really important to know the source, because you don't want to have like this frequency of like death and suffering and slaughter. And I really feel that our body kind of knows, like feels that, and it's kind of putting us down. If you know, like people that eat a lot of meat, they are usually kind of also very like depressed or really low energy, because they are kind of like a cemetery in their body. Like in the end, it's a low energy. And even if you're like crossing, let's say, cemetery, like here outside, like you can feel it. It's really difficult to say it, but you can feel it. And if you're like somewhere, like I was living in Brazil, where there's like bananas on the trees and like coconuts and everything, there's like fresh fruit, like there is a higher like frequency. And that's why I think it's really important to look at the frequency. And the funny exercise that I do with all of my clients is I send them to the supermarket, and I just want them to feel the vibration. I want them to feel the vibration and the energy of the different food aisles. And when you're really practicing that, you notice the difference. Like you notice the difference if you're in the fruit section, if you're like crossing, let's say, maybe even like the fruit that is still growing. Sometimes there's still like, they have this little greenhouse thingies in the supermarket. If you're like crossing this, there's so much like a higher vibration. It feels just so much good. And if you cross, let's say, the processed food section, or like the cereal boxes, or like even like the butcher shop, like you really can feel the difference even in the supermarket. And then I want them to take the food that they are naturally drawn towards, like naturally drawn to. And usually they take the healthy plant-based like whole foods, because they say, oh, it's so colorful, it smells so good, it feels good. So I think that we are naturally drawn to this food. And that's like why there's so much marketing around other food that is in boxes and has a lot of labels on it, because otherwise we would not even touch that. Like if you look those processed foods, and sometimes even the frozen food, it just does not look good. Of course, you would naturally go to towards the colorful like mangoes and strawberries and even broccoli, like a nice green thing. Like then they're just like this gray mush. Like you're not drawn towards it, but you're more brainwashed by the marketing and like the packaging. But they have to invest in the marketing and the packaging, because otherwise nobody would buy it, because you're not attracted to a card box. Like it's just...
Laurie, we're going to put all of your links in the show notes, and you've also given us a very generous offer, so I'm going to put the link into that as well. So thank you so much for that. And I just have my very quick fire round for you before you go. So you are obviously very well travelled. So where is your favourite city? Which is your favourite city?
Honestly, it may sound, but now one. I really think it's Luxembourg. It's so like I now really got to appreciate my home country, like even like my home, like the capital city here, because I was living so much abroad. So it's such a beautiful city. It really is, and I really appreciate my home city now, like Luxembourg. Yeah,
that is so
such a beautiful place.
That is so nice. And what is your favorite food?
Oh wow. I love Italian food. Like I'm into pizza and pasta. I'm like, I have like my grandpa is like from Italy, like, but I love Italian food. And also curries and Indian food, but I would, yeah, maybe I would go for the Italian.
The Italian for me, pizza is the one food I can't resist. I'm like, it's a lovely crispy pizza. Yes. I'm like, I have to have a slice. I can't resist it. And my final question for you today is, and what have you got for tea? So what you've got for dinner tonight? Do you know? It's quite early in the day.
I don't know yet. Yeah, I don't know yet. But I love to usually I love stir fries. Like also more like the Asian thing, like with soy sauce and or tamarind. It's kind of like stir fry, easy stir fry. It's done so fast. Like it's really fast. It's healthy if you put in like a lot of vegetables, and sometimes also tofu I put in, and like just an easy stir fry. It's delicious and healthy and very, very fast. So.
Definitely. I'm with you there. I'm not sure what I'm having tonight, but stir fry sounds like a good idea. So Laurie, thank you so much. I've really, really enjoyed talking to you. I'll put all of your links in the show notes. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for watching this excerpt of this week's Fab Female Nutrition podcast. If you'd like to listen to the full episode, then the link is in the notes below.